Okay, welcome back to another tutorial in the Vaicom Pro tutorial series. In this set, we're going to be looking at the different VoIP options and how you use Vaicom Pro with SRS. So if we have a look at the Vaicom Pro UI, all of that's contained in the multiplayer tab, and here it is under VoIP control. So voice over IP control, we have broadcast parallel, which is the default mode. And to be honest, that's what I use, and it closely simulates how a radio press to talk works in real life. You press it and you will broadcast to anyone listening on that frequency. Then we have TX link mode and dynamic switching. So in part one, we'll just look at broadcast parallel, the default mode. A couple of things you're going to need is use with multiplayer, obviously, because we're going to be using SRS, and we need SRS integration. And I recommend ticking SRS PTT mapping. If you don't know what that does, we'll turn it off and we'll go back to the PTT tab, and you can see that you have your different transmit nodes here, and they're labeled VHF AM, UHF, VHF FM, auto, int, aux. Now, if we turn that back on with SRS PTT mapping and go back and have a look, it now says SRS 1, 2, and 3. And what that does, it means whatever transmit push to talk you have set in radio 1, 2, and 3 in simple radio, it will mirror those. So you need to set the same in here as you set for your transmit nodes 1, 2, and 3. Whatever button you use for TX1 here for press and release, TX2 press and release, TX3 press and release, they need to be set in here as well. And when the radio connects, it will give you the name of the radio rather than just COM1, COM2. It'll be actually the type of radio that SRS is replicating. So that's what that does. If you didn't know, there's a little button down here that allows you to flick between the two rather than going into the thing. So we'll leave it on as PTT mapping. So there it is, PTT mapping on. And that's all we need to set up in Vaicom. A couple of things to set up in SRS though. We need to go into the settings and we need to scroll down, and the first one you're going to find is allow Vaicom TX inhibit. Now technically for broadcast parallel mode, that's not required. It's only required for TX link mode, but I just leave it on anyway, so default it on. But the main two you need for broadcast parallel mode is radio switch works as PTT, that must be on, and allow in cockpit DCS control PTT, that must be off. That's it. The rest of the settings can be configured as you would like them in SRS. And then you can jump into the aircraft and have a look. So let's do that now, and let's see what broadcast parallel looks like. All right, in the cockpit, and we'll have a look at the parallel broadcast option. So there's not a lot to look at. It's pretty straightforward. Sitting here on ground power at Bagram Air Base. Lovely day in Afghanistan. We've got COM1 channel 1325.75, which is Bagram ground and tower, and then on COM2 we have Overlord bot on 250.5. So everything's just done with a long press. It'll be broadcast to Vaicom Pro and DCS, and it will also be broadcast in parallel over the SRS frequency. So basically what that means is any players that are tuned in this case to 325.75, they will hear me asking for a clearance to start up. So let's get that clearance now. Request startup.
Uzi 1, cleared for startup, wind 138 at 2 meters per second.
Okay, and the listening was suspended when I released the PTT. So it's basically how a normal push to talk works in an aircraft, and anyone on that frequency will hear, including in this case the AI ATC. Now let's give Overlord bot a call, who is simulating a player on COM2, and it is just on SRS, and we'll give them a call. Overlord Jury 11 radio check.
Jury 11, Overlord, 5x5.
And there we go, broadcast parallel, really simple. That's the most common use mode, and in the next part we will look at TX Link, not so simple. Thanks for watching.